Hey there, folks. Foggy here. Welcome to Solo Struggles. I am continuing on my way through the final girl campaigns for Dr. Fright. These, of course, are 5 connected scenarios, each at a different location, for the villain known as Dr. Fright. This is called Divine Dreams. This is the fourth one. This is with Adelaide as the final girl. And I have already succeeded in completing a scenario successfully with her. So as a result, her item is somewhere in here since there's not a custom item deck for this scenario. Let me go ahead and read the introduction. Following horrific events at the Sacred Grove site, the park had to be repaired and restored. The extended time the park was closed resulted in the horrors being forgotten to some extent. But it was time to reopen. The gods had been pleased when the park area was closed. While the park was unclean and in disrepair, there were no mischievous tourists tearing up the place. When the park reopened, the administration decided that they would allow camping on their grounds. They never cared about the sanctity of the place, only the money it could make them. People would die for that decision. Gods were not restricted to the earthly plane. A shadowy figure emerged in the boiler room Dr. Fright called home in the dream world. The language they communicated in was otherworldly, but the gist of the conversation was that the gods wanted Dr. Fright to help them get the park closed forever, or at a minimum, make the administration disallow sleeping at the sacred sites. Thus, an unlikely alliance of evil was formed in the dream world. Dr. Fright would soon manifest himself into one of the campers' dreams, a dream that would be their last. We are starting with Adelaide, as I mentioned, and the setup mob of tourists. The item decks are normal. The events are pretty much given here. We do have a couple of events that will bring out certain people. More importantly, we have fire and brimstone. Essentially, that means that certain areas will count as double. And we're going to do this right now just to get this set and kicked off. We're going to roll a dice, and it is a 3, and I believe that is the sacred shrine. We actually have somebody over there. So this symbol is going to go here, and then that means that when we're counting people in the red areas, they are going to count as double. And then we have some additional tarot cards that will come out. We have a bunch of tarot cards from both, and the epic power is their dark power is their epic power. I'll just go ahead and show you. Shock factor: if a victim would panic, it is killed instead. Max 3 per turn. So that's going to get the body count up real quick. And of course, with this particular scenario, we have an additional concern, and these are the additional effects that will happen as the horror goes up. So first time a horror victim gets killed, we're going to increase the divine wrath, which I should have a little token on. We start at 1, I believe, which will automatically drive this up 2, and then occasionally the divine wrath will take effect. We're going to go ahead and get started here. I think looking at the board, obviously my big concern is this large group of 6 here in the center. That is going to be pretty bad. But I think, and looking at what's available, I don't necessarily want the prayer book, but I do think that I want the trash can lid and the whip. Like those would be helpful. If I can get Adelaide's weapon, that would be even better. But that means getting all the way over here to Lost and Found. And there's not really a good spot where to get them out. So that's the other problem. I do have this spot here. I could get somebody out right away, which would allow me to get a little bit of space or increase some time or lower the horror level, which should be at 4. I'm not sure why it's there. Adelaide's special ability is actually just a one-time effect, which is a little bit of a bummer. But for each additional victim save, she does get to lower the horror by 1. I think ideally I would love to be able to get this person out of the sacred shrine and headed elsewhere. But again, it's kind of difficult to figure out where. I think the best path might be through here and up through the center so I can get them to this spot up here. This person might end up getting stranded. Let's go ahead and do a walk. We'll see how far we can get. We'll see if we can save one person. We'll see if we can save that person in the welcome center. And it's a success and a conversion, which means I could give up 2 cards to go ahead and move 2 spaces, which I think I will. I'll give up focus and short rest. That's now going to be 2 conversions, or 2 successes. And that means I'm going to go out here to the welcome center, get this person out of here. What are you doing? Don't be an idiot. I'm down to 5. And as my special thing, I'm taking the move 1 space, so I'm back at the welcome center. I think the best thing I can do is simply sprint towards the sacred shrines, which isn't great. I don't want to be without both walks this early on in the game. So I think that's actually going to be it. I think that's all I'm going to do is just that one walk. I still have 5 time to work with. I will go ahead and take, oops, that should not be there. Now I'm going to go ahead and take a sprint and a close call. We're going to try to cover as much distance as we can. These go back into the tableau. Our killer is now going to act. Our killer looks for somebody in their spot to kill. There's nobody there. And then terror. If you have not saved any victims yet, blah, 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 remove one victim from a saved victim space on your final roll card. And then move one space. Then the killer will move towards a group of victims. Now, there are 2 victims that they can possibly go with, and I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference because they're simply going to move one space, and that's as far as they get. That's not too bad. During the upkeep phase, the fire and brimstone changes. So we're going to roll that again. It's a 2. This time it's going to be the burial grounds that are going to be the sacred fire and brimstone spot. All right, and with that having been said, it's our turn. So we're back at 6. And we're going to go ahead and do a sprint. One success, 1 complete failure. So we get to move 2 spaces. We'll move here to the sacred shrines. I think I'm going to try to roll again and get both of these 2 out of here. I did not take a sprint, unfortunately. I would like to be able to search here on the next turn. So I'm going to do sprint again. Lower that by 1 for the first sprint. And that is a complete goose egg. I'm going to go ahead and play close call to reroll just this one. All right, that is a success. I'm going to use focus and weak attack. This allows me to move 3 people now, or 3 spaces. And I could do one of 2 things. I can either take these 2, move them here, and get to here with one of them, and the next turn walk and get 2 more people into there. And I think that's probably my best bet. I want to get these people off of these areas, but that does mean that I'm away from the lost and found. But my focus does, I think, need to be like save people. So we're going to do that. We're going to walk here. We've now got 8 victims in this one spot, and I'm going to move 1 more, and they're going to be here. And it's 1 success and 1. Should have also brought this down by 1 more. And now we're going to go 1 more down. We're moving up to 1 space, so we'll move these 2 here. That saves both of them. So what I'll do is I'll take the 1 space move, and I'll take. Do I want to get here? I think I want to get here so I can get into the groundskeeper shed on the next turn. All right, that's better. And then I get to. Am I doing that right? 1 to save, 1 is the bonus, plus I get 2 extra time. All right, that's good. All right, and that's it. I have 5 time to work with. I'm going to take all my 0 cards. I'm going to take search. I'm going to take search twice and another close call. The idea being that I'm going to get into that groundskeeper shed and find something to work with here. 2 sprints go over there. All right. Next, the killer acts. There's nobody in his spot, fortunately. Endless sleep. You fall asleep while this card is in play. You must remain asleep. Reset the boiler room immediately upon exiting it. That's not good. All right, so we're going to give this a quick shuffle. It's really difficult to shuffle 4 cards, you know. So I mentioned that before. I'm going to stop mentioning that. If I mention that again, feel free to put in the comments, jerk. All right, asleep. I have to resolve at least 1 card. Nothing there. Okay. So the problem here is that I cannot do anything to the victim. I cannot help the victims at all. So we're first going to reset the fire and brimstone. 4, that's going to be the sacred shrine. And then I'm going to walk. Get to roll 2 dice for this. I'm not sure why I'm only rolling 1. That's going to be 2 successes. One of the few times I don't need 2 successes. So I'm going to move in there. Do I have a weak? I don't have a weak attack. That's the problem. If I had a weak attack, I would consider moving here because if I can do just 1 damage, that power goes away, and then I don't have to worry about this asleep thing. But I am going to search. So that is 1 success and 1 conversion. I will go ahead and use focus and short rest for the conversion. So I'll use up 1 time. This way I get to look at the top 2 items here. It's a trash can lid, which would be helpful. It allows me to ignore 1 damage. And then we also have an air horn. For 1 time, I may panic all victims in your space or an adjacent space. I think that's a very limited use. So I'll put that on the bottom, and I'll take my trash can lid. And we're going to go ahead and search again. And this time I really only need to find 1 item. And unfortunately, it's a double conversion. So I'm going to use this to go ahead. I better re-roll both of them. So that's going to use up 2 time. And unfortunately, that's a complete goose egg. So that's even worse. It means I can either take the top item and the horror goes up by 2, or the horror goes up by 1. I don't get anything. I will take the top item. I think I need to take it. And it's a tribal mask. Whenever you receive damage, choose Divine Wrath and decrease it by the amount of damage received. So that's going to be helpful, I think. All right, so that does lower my time by 2. That does increase the horror by 2, which means I'm at a big goose egg here. I've got 0 time to work with, so I'm just taking these. Everything else goes back in here. But at least I can ignore some damage. All right. The villain axe, unfortunately, doesn't really do anything. Or fortunately, doesn't really do anything. We're going to draw a tarot card. Increase the Divine Wrath by the number of victims in holy spaces. So right now there's only 1 victim, so we will increase that. And then unleash it, so we lose 2 time. We're supposed to reset ourselves to 6. We are now down to 4. That's not great. Place 2 new victims at the Holy Groves. Good. All victims adjacent to the Holy Groves move there. And I think that's it. All right, so that's it for that card. At the end, I do have to resolve one of these. I'm going to go ahead and resolve downward. There he is. So I do take 1 damage, except I have the trash can lid, so I can use that to absorb some damage. And then, let's see, we go to upkeep, so we'll roll this. It's a 2, so we're back to burial ground. All right, so I don't have much of anything. I can walk and do a weak attack, but I can't reach there via walk. I still really need a weapon. I don't think there's anything I can really do that's productive. I think I will focus. And that's a complete goose egg. That's good. So I use up, and I have no way to modify that, so I'm going to lose 2 time there. So that's it. That's all I can really do. That's awesome. Okay, so I have 2 time to work with. I will take a sprint, only thing I can do, and I will take a walk. I could, no, I don't even have 2 cards to really burn, do I? I could take 2 cards and I could retaliate. And retaliate, at least as long as I get 1 success, I will do some damage and then I won't have to be asleep anymore. And I know I'm probably going to have to deal. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. No, I think I've already committed, so there we go. Okay. Back to 6. Killer Axe, there's nobody in the spot. We draw this. If you're awake, -1 for the next horror rolls in the next action phase. And if you're asleep, immediately resolve all remaining Boiler Room cards. And then this is where things get bad because now he's going to get some kills. So let's just keep going down. Let's see. This next one, we know it's going to be the bottom right. So we'll go this way. And there we go. All of them have been resolved. However, we don't get to wake up. So, I mean, with this, I'm assuming what they mean is just resolve everything and then reset the deck, and then you fall asleep again. Then the killer acts. He's going to move one space towards here, and he's going to get to kill one victim. That immediately pushes this up by one. The number of victims in the spaces, this goes up, so it's going to go up by 3. 1, 2, and 3. And then the horror is going to go up, which means we're now into 1 zone. That's awesome. And everyone else is going to panic here. One and 2. So they're all going to go. Oh, they're not going to go anywhere. None of them. Wow, that's awesome. There's no 1 or 2 around there, so none of them actually leave. Yay. Oh, that should go back there. Okay. So I guess the first thing I'm doing is focusing. I'm not doing well in this game. Come on. It's going to lower me by 2 and not do anything productive. I'm going to do sprint. I'm going to hope for the best here. Oh, my Lord. All right, so I'm going to lose 1 health. I can then decrease the Divine Wrath because I did take some damage. And then lose 2 time. I'm going to do a walk. I'm going to pick a different die because this one hates me. All right, so that's going to lose my remaining time. This is insane. I feel like this is a compounding issue. I'm going to move 1 space. I'm going to lose 1 health. I feel like this is a compounding issue because basically what's happening is that everything is basically making things worse. I'm going to increase my time by 1 just so I have enough time to do the rest of this. All right, that's a success. Finally, that puts me down to 0. And I think I can still attack. I really need a success here. It's a 1 in 3 chance. That's no success. So I'm going to lose 1 more damage. We'll lower that by 1 more. And that's it for my move. I have 0 time to work with. I'm going to get 1 focus card back. This is not going well. This is not, to say the least, this is the worst luck I've had on this. And it just seems like I'm not getting any sort of mitigation whatsoever. Let's increase the time here. All right, so we're going to go to the planning stage. I have 0 time to work with. That's it. My 1 focus card is it. All right. Killer's going to act. Killer gets to kill 1 person. This goes up by 1. They're now doing 2 movement each time. Then, before the panic phase, I'm going to resolve 1 of these. There's nobody in the bottom. Good. And then the victim is going to panic. Oh, we have to draw a terror card too. So this goes down here first, then the terror card. All right, terror card is slasher, so this person dies as well. We're going to unleash this, which means the horror is going to go up by 1. The horror is also going to go up by 1 there, which means that because we're already at max horror, the bloodlust goes up by 1. We reveal the dark power. And then we increase the Divine Wrath by the number of victims and all spaces, which right now there's only 1, but they are on the special spot, which we did not re-roll, I think, last turn. I forgot to do that. So, since there's no way for it would not work out better for me, I'm going to take that as it, or worse for me, I will take that as is. And then we raise the bloodlust again. So that's, I think, where we are. All victims that are not in a search space panic. And this is where things are just, I may as well just give up now. So everybody here is going to panic, and this person is going to panic as well. We'll panic that person. We'll panic 3 of these people first. If a victim would panic, it is killed instead. Max 3 per turn. These 3 people die. Bloodlust goes up 3 more times. So before I even get to the rest of the panicking, 1, unleash Divine Wrath. That is going to cost me 2 more times. Plus this goes up by another one. So we've still got 3 more to deal with. Increase that by the number of victims. So that is still going to be 2. And unleash it. So discard 1 random action card. That's going to go into the trash. We haven't even done the killer phase, like the end of the killer phase yet. This is insane. Plus horror goes up by 1. And I lose 2 more times. So I have 0 time for the next turn. And I have no cards. Let's see, I've done 2. I now have 3 more of these to go. Plus, this one is going to reset, give me 2 more times. This is insane. This is absolutely insane. All right, so we're at the top. If asleep, reset the boiler room deck. Otherwise, you fall asleep. So no matter what, all of these are going to continue to hold true. And that doesn't really do anything. So fortunately, all these excesses, bloodlusts, don't actually resolve anything. But they are now doing 4 damage per. And I still have to panic the rest of these folks. So let me panic the rest of the people in the center there. So 3, 4, 5, and 6. 3 and 4 head off this way. 5 and 6 head off this way. When you are panicking everybody, as I'm doing in this one, sometimes you can put them on end to indicate that you've already done them, and then knock them all over at the end. The person who is not panicked yet in the center there, that's going to be a 3. And that means that they are going to go towards here. So everybody's panicked now. Everybody can chill out. And fortunately, that's a lot worse in terms of Divine Wrath. And then we're going to resolve an asleep victim room. I'm just going to go ahead and do this. There he is. He's going to do 4 damage to me. So all of these go away. And if there's nothing on the back of this, the game is over. Yeah, nothing was on the back of that. That did not go well at all. So one of the complaints I've heard about this game is that if you have bad luck early on, it can sometimes compound itself a lot. And I do feel like this was a very slippery slope downward. I had some bad luck, kind of not so much early on, but like maybe 2 turns in. And then it was just the wrong combination of things that just basically destroyed this. I don't know if there was a better way for me to have played, but one thing that you do have to accept with this game is that bad luck will happen. Occasionally, you will have a game where nothing goes right. And that's what happened for me. I had, a number of rolls that were 1 and 2 with no way to mitigate them. And that is an important part of this game, is having ways to mitigate. And unfortunately, it just was not in the case in the cards for me today. I know I probably could have prevented some trash can damage. That would have also lowered the health some, which would have been nice. But I just don't feel like there was any point in doing that. In fact, I think I would have been at that would have been completely used up at that point. I would have taken 2 damage, would have lowered it to here. This Divine Wrath track can really mess things up. I think, and not having any way. I think I overcommitted on some of the turns in terms of having flexibility for the next turn. I think that might be my one takeaway, is if things are starting to look bad, cut your losses early and try to regroup on the next turn. But that's it. That is episode 4, a quick, dirty failure for myself. That's going to put us at 3 and 1 for the record. And then tomorrow, or the next episode, will be the finale. And I'll see you then.